When we first started hearing about the prospect of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, there didn't seem like too much to actually be excited about. The original game, from a technical standpoint, was perfect. And so any little PS5 enhancements that were possible didn't really seem like it would move the needle and wasn't really something to be super excited about. And Naughty Dog hasn't released a new game with any new content in a long time. To top it all off, the one promised new game we did know about, Factions 2, has recently been delayed. So another remaster from a beloved studio that seemed to be faltering lately did not seem like a very good sign. But we just got a big reveal on what they do have in store for this Last of Us Part 2 remastered version. And to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm actually very hyped about this game. Dr. Pooplove here, and let's get right into it. So this news comes initially from leaks from PlayStation Size and Insider Gaming, who ended up just leaking one of the whole trailers. But because of these leaks, Naughty Dog themselves has also now spoken up, since the cat is now out of the bag. So we will go straight to them for this news. Now, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is coming to the PS5, and in this blog post, we receive some of the key details about what is included in this package, as well as the release date and the upgrade cost. Now, starting off, we have some of the features you would expect from a typical remastered version. There's visual upgrades, there's faster loading, there's DualSense support, as well as a few things that we saw in The Last of Us Part 1 remake, like a few new skins and a speedrun mode. But there's also some new content, one of which is a guitar free play, which I could really care less about, but if you like strumming your DualSense like a banjo, by all means, who am I to stop you? But what really makes this entry pop is the addition of two different modes. The first is Lost Levels, which is 3 early development levels that we've never gotten to play in the original. According to Naughty Dog's blog post, a new set of Lost Levels in Part 2 Remastered will allow players a unique chance to check out some playable sequences previously cut from the original game. These aren't fully finished levels, but rather early development slices that not only let you see some new glimpses of Part 2's world, but also include embedded developer commentary to give them richer context. And so this is pretty cool. From the trailer, it seems like one of these levels is actually around the epilogue portion, with Ellie perhaps scavenging for supplies, maybe for her and Dina, when they're still living together. Another one seems to explore a little bit more surrounding the events of the big dance that we see in The Last of Us Part 2. The third level doesn't really seem to be shown here in the trailer. And although this isn't really what a lot of people wanted, like Tommy's days in Seattle, and it's yet to be determined whether any of this is actually canon, but it is new content, new levels that will give us some insight and maybe even some new context into the story of the original game. And although it's only 3 levels and their development seems to predate even The Last of Us Part 2 being finished, we have not actually had new content from Naughty Dog since 2020, so I will take what I can get. But what is even more exciting is the second mode that comes. It's called No Return. This is a roguelike survival mode, and here's the description from Naughty Dog's blog post. No Return is a roguelike survival mode designed to let players prove their mettle in randomized encounters and experience The Last of Us Part 2's combat in a fresh experience. The mode includes a host of playable characters to choose from, some playable for the first time in the Last of Us franchise, who each come with their own traits to suit different playstyles. Players will chart their own course on each run, choosing between various stealth and combat encounters that will pit you against a range of enemies with unique twists that can add new, unexpected factors to any given situation. Each run will offer a new chance to decide what rewards you get after each encounter, how you spec out a character, and more. Unlock more characters, skins, and more as you progress to use in the mode. Customize your own runs and compete on a global leaderboard as part of a daily run. We're excited to share more about No Return as we get closer to launch. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This sounds really fun, and it also seems like the perfect way for Naughty Dog to give something that will appeal to fans of Factions. Fans like me who have been waiting years for that promised standalone multiplayer mode, who likely after the recent news of it being delayed, we'll have to wait quite a bit longer. This seems to offer a good replayable challenge that hopefully resembles a bit more like what Factions 2's gameplay ultimately will be. With this mode, it seems like we definitely can play as Tommy, Lev, Mel, Dina, and Jesse, and hopefully we'll also get to play as, of course, Joel, Ellie, and Abby, and I'm crossing my fingers for Manny too. Heck, maybe we can even play as Neil Druckmann himself. And what's cool here is they apparently have their own unique abilities, and you can spec your characters out, which should provide for some interesting strategy. It's honestly a bit surprising they are doing this. It comes completely out of left field to me, and perhaps this is also a way that they can kind of get their tendrils out there to see how people might respond to Factions 2 when that ultimately comes out. In this mode, it seems like there are different types of levels you encounter, like levels where you have to survive for a longer period of time, others with waves of enemies, and even boss battles. And it seems like they're gonna have us playing against both infected and human NPCs. It even has some leaderboards with these daily run challenges that at least can engage my competitive side, even if I can't play PvP. It does seem like this is actually a solo mode, and perhaps they will add co-op eventually, but I honestly doubt that. Either way, it's pretty cool that you will get to play as some different characters who have different traits, and it's definitely something I think will help me with the wait for Factions 2. And this all looks really great, but it does feel like there's a missed opportunity here, and that even though they are including these early development single player levels, they are not including what we know exists, which is an early development multiplayer mode for the original Part 2 game. Leaks from 2020 revealed some PvP gameplay on Lakeside and other locations, so it's a bit of a bummer that that piece is being excluded, as well as the fact that Naughty Dog did promise a lot of multiplayer news this year, and we know it's been delayed, but they never really clarified whether they were going to keep that promise or not. Kind of feels like they're not gonna keep that promise. But perhaps this is a good sign that the multiplayer is still very much happening, and they want it to be its own thing with nothing else to distract it. And if you look at this announcement, it's literally 2 months away from release. And I think they were really planning to show this at the Game Awards, which means they are not likely to be talking about Factions until it's also super close to release. Regardless, I am excited for this remastered actually. These modes look great, and the game is coming super soon. Like I said, 2 months. January 19th is the release date, and it's also only for a $10 upgrade if you own Part 2, which is definitely fair. And even though you probably have to buy this on its own for $70, this doesn't feel egregious, kind of like The Last of Us Part 1 remake did. Ultimately, I'm so excited to play this, and it even gives me a good excuse to try the campaign again. But look, even if you aren't excited to play it, because it is another remaster from Naughty Dog, at least this means that Naughty Dog is now moving on to focus on brand new games from here on out, because I think they've run out of games to remaster at this point. And we already know that they do have new games in development. And if you want to know what Naughty Dog and actually all PlayStation studios have in store for the future, you should check this video out. But otherwise, so long, Pooper Troopers.